A resolution passed recently by the FSM Congress to possibly cut ties with the United States in the next few years raised more than a few eyebrows. University of Guam President Dr. Robert Underwood, a former Guam delegate to Congress, has written about the future of the Compacts of Free Association for the East-West Center. His take on the FSM's bold move?
It's a genuine cry for attention and understanding. And it's also an opportunity for the United States to reflect upon what is the nature of this relationship that they have with the FSM and its value. The way that it's seen in the federal government is that that the FSM is just eating up a bunch of resources, and they're not getting anything out of it. And the reality is that you know, what does the FSM mean to the U.S.? Not what does the U.S. mean to the FSM, because that's pretty clear. The U.S. hasn't considered that. But can you imagine being a military planner and a strategic planner? You're going to do your submarines, and your submarines are cutting through all these areas, and you're doing your live fire training, you're doing your dogfights, you're doing your simulated aerial warfare, huge areas of airspace. And now that's going to change, has the potential to change. So if it has the potential to change, you're going to have to think about, well, what does that mean for us? And it's going to look like the money that you're giving them is going to be pretty insignificant in comparison to the sum total of that value. So that's a pretty important piece.
Underwood says the central issue for Guam is the migration piece.
It would be very useful for people to start talking about how do you want to handle migration, not how you want to handle the costs of migration. Because there's always going to be a cost associated with it. But how are you going to handle migration? Is it going to be, absolutely under the circumstances which exist now? It's instructive to remember that at the beginning of the compacts, the general argument was that Micronesians wanted to go to college, and they wanted to go to school in the U.S. and places like Guam and Hawaii, and they wanted to be able to do so and get a job and do so without having to be hassled at immigration. So let them have this opportunity to do that. Well, the nature of that's changed. The going to school part has somehow been now expanded to health care and all kinds of other issues. So it's very instructive that somebody has to go back and say, what are the circumstances of this migration and how do we want to handle them? For example, if you're an immigrant from the Philippines or Korea, when you come to Guam, you've made, and you get a green card, you've already established that you want to be a U.S. citizen. You want to be part of the society. There's no such commitment from anybody in this migration. So I asked the district court, how many people from the FSM have become citizens in the past 5 years? 6. Remember when we look back at the CNMI and their experience with foreign labor, we said, you just can't have a huge part of the population be there without having any particular status, that was going to gut out the nature of that society. Well, in a sense, that's what we're creating here, because we're allowing a large part of the population to be here without any kind of figuring out, well, what are they going? Eventually, are they just all going to be U.S. citizens? They're all going to be born here and they'll become U.S. citizens, or are there going to be some continual migration where people are not really required to make a choice?
Underwood says the trust fund that is supposed to allow the FSM to be self-sustaining after U.S. aid ends will fall well short. So then what will happen?
I think the military is going to be a big part of it, so the changing nature, what is going on in the South China Sea, how the ASEAN nations, these new arrangements that the pivot, to Asia, which President Obama has advertised, the next president probably, I'm assuming will follow generally the same pattern, and then we'll try to figure out how does the U.S. continue to be an active player? Can it continue to be an active, vibrant, economic, political, and strategic power in Asia without the FSM.
Sounds like you're talking about Compact 3.
That's right. So a Compact 3 is coming.